Hey guys, my name is Nogan, and welcome to my Java series. I hope you guys are doing good. Sorry if I'm struggling to post more videos on the channel, but in today's video, I'm going to be just focusing on the if and else statements, but I'm going to build up, of course, into much more higher advanced topics in Java. So for now, just focusing on the basic fundamentals of like making decisions, decoding, which means this is now, for example, using now the if keyword and also the else keyword. Now, before we jump into code, this is like the way we're going to be focusing on trying to understand the key concept of this too, like the if and else statements. Because the if now will take, of course, by definition, a condition here. Now, the condition is safe, like, of course, it will be like a variable being declared in your program. But now, this value now he tries to compare eventually if this variable is true using now this equal sign here. This equal sign, of course, this is called now. This equal sign like this is eventually called a relation operator. This why it's been used here. There's also one called it's not equal to, like this, and also one for less than, greater than symbol. These are just not called relation operators, of course, in programming. So this is now, of course, your if statement here. Now, what is happening, of course, in the body of if statement? This is now eventually here a output statement, as you can see here. Because now if this is true, this must be outputted here. The test score is perfect. Or else, if it's false, this must be outputted here from based on this statement here. Because an if statement, as you can see, this keyword if must have an else statement. Well, now here we have two-way structure, which means a one-way structure is only like using the if statement for one condition. We have two conditions here. One is true, one is false. That's why you're seeing the if and else. Now, let's try and open the IDE NetBeans and try to eventually have like an example about this. Awesome. So I'm gonna make a new project now here. I'm gonna just call it eventually payroll. Awesome. So eventually let's have it right now here because we have a new project called payroll. Now I'm gonna just come into this class here to make this into a test class because now this is the main function, which means this is where we're gonna just try to test all the variables being defined, of course, in other classes. Okay. Now this public class now is our test payroll, which means in the main function here we're going to test all those operations. Now, if I just try to remove these comments here, okay. So in this class, of course, I'm going to just declare a few variables. We'll try to define a few variables, of course, using them now with the if and else statement. Now, before I do that, now I'm just include the import Java dot utility dot scanner, because when I use the scanner class, we have input output operations, of course, here from the user. Okay, after this, I'm going to declare a few variables. We'll call double rate, double again, hours worked, double regular pay, double overtime pay, and we have two final variables. Final variables are final, almost like is like trying to almost like a constant, which means the final keyword makes sure that now the variable type int, if it's full, which means by definition, say a full week is a variable name. This variable now will be a constant. Initialize to 40, which means it's going to be a constant. And also final again, double OT underscore rate. Awesome. So which means these two final int and final double, these are now constant variables, which means the int full week, this variable, and also double OT stands for overtime rate. These are going to be constant now. Let's also initialize this variable to 1.5, which is like it's like a overtime pay rate. So these two variables will be constant because now they'll never change throughout the program, because why, these are now your two pay rate estimations. Of course, the full week is going to get 40 is a constant value, and also now for the double it's like of course a floating point value, which means 1.5. Now after this we include a few cout only like a system but out statements, so the user can see of course like how many hours you work. Now before you do, I'm going to say the scanner class, and you say now input equals to new scanner system dot in. Awesome. So because now want to get input from the user. Now after, let me say now system dot out print. I'm going to say now how many hours did you work this week? Now hours work will be a means of input, because the user will have to input now of course is hours worked. Hours worked equals to input dot, because now remember the hours worked is double. We're going to use the double next double function here to take the input from the user. And also because of that, we want to also ask them now again what is like the regular pay, which means for example say system out again, print what is your regular pay rate. Also, so after this, I'm also focus on the input of the pay rate, which means going to be so, because remember the pay rate of course is basically this variable here. So right now I'm going to use also the regular pay variable by saying now the rate equals to input dot because now it's a double, also double. And also after this they use now of course if statement is going to compare a few values here. So let's say for example if hours worked greater than full week, which means full week. If that is the case, regular hours, regular pay is equal to full week multiplied by the rate, of course. And overtime, of course, will come into the question. Let's say overtime pay is equals to hours worked subtracting, of course, now the full week multiplied by the overtime rate, which you're getting, of course, multiply also by the rate, of course, the normal rate of hours worked. Okay, so these two are very essential, because now, for example, here, if hours worked is greater than, of course, full week, which means he work more hours. Of course, he needs to get like, of course, overtime, because of why he work more hours in a week. Because weekly hours are 40 hours, or 40 in a week, which means you have to at least have minimum of 40 hours fundamentally. So regular hours, of course, the regular pay, it will be now full week multiplied by the rate, of course, basically being declared by the input of the user here. So those are like two essentials here. Then after that, now he needs to also get overtime, because why, he worked more hours. So more hours minus now this multiply by the rate per hour overtime multiply by the normal rate, of course, get like how much we get, of course, for the extra hours you worked in that week. Now else, of course, will be the second condition. Else regular hours, regular pay maybe now hours worked again but now multiplied by the rate. In overtime, because in overtime it will change. Overtime pay is equals to 0.0. What am I doing? Okay. 0.0. Let's do this. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So this is like which doesn't happen, of course. Else, if nothing, if this is false, eventually this will be just the normal pay, because the guy will get like normal hours work, regular pay, and also it will only be on overtime. Now let's have our system out. You see, like eventually now, based on his input, of course, how much he must get per month. So you see now regular pay is, of course, regular pay plus also now again overtime if you worked overtime. Overtime pay is overtime what is going on here? Regular pay. Awesome. Okay. So basically what's going to happen right now, which means based on the two conditions here, if eventually now hours worked is more than the full week hours, this must happen, of course, in the body that you segment here. If it's false, this will happen, of course, here. Now let's try to just clean and bold this, see what's happening, and run this afterwards. Awesome. Let's run this. Okay, so how many hours you work? Let's say I work 45 hours, which I work more hours eventually in the week. Now my pay rate, of course, let's say for example is 1, 2, 3, which means pay rate. So fundamentally I'm getting like, which means the regular pay is going to be now 4,900, and also the overtime that I have to get, of course, for that month will be 922. Awesome. As you can see, that output is much more on point and sufficient then. Let's make it much more nice and stuff. Let me just say system now again. Just copy this, paste it also here, and also here. This is the distinction between these two lines here. Okay, let's just run this one more time. Okay, let's say for example I worked again 45 hours, but now this is increase the pay rate. Let's see, I have to get 253. Wow. So which means basically, as you can see here, the regular pay is going to be now 10,150 rand, and also overtime is going to be based on this. But let's say for example I just worked 40 hours per month. If I worked 40 hours, only normal hours, it will be 40 hours, and let's say the same pay rate, which means 253. So which means my regular pay is going to be given by this, of course, fundamentally, but now overtime will be there's no overtime, because why? I worked the normal hours of the week. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and also like the video also, and also thank you for watching.